I've created a list of books that I want to read for 2023. I've got a mixture of non-fiction books, so things around self-development, personal finance, and autobiographies, but I also have some fiction books as well, which allow me to escape from life from time to time. These are all books that I'd like to read based off the reviews that I've heard about and recommendations by my friends. By the end of my reading journey, I'll be sure to share what my favorites were. So let's get started. Now let's start with nonfiction. The first book that I'd like to read is called Sort Your Money Out and Get Invested. This is a book by Glenn James, and he teaches how to manage money and how to make good investing decisions. Glenn James was also a former financial advisor, and he is the host of the podcast My Millennial Money. He shares his life experiences around big milestones that concern money. So things like buying a house, being in debt, shares, and creating a plan for financial success. I've actually heard Glenn James through his podcast, but I've also heard him talk in interviews as well, and I absolutely love his no BS mentality. He's also a person that likes to think outside of the box and find ways to diversify your income. He's invested in many businesses before, of which many have been quite successful, and I personally just love his no fluff mentality. I think it's quite applicable advice that we all can really get some value out of. The next book is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. You may have heard this book be mentioned many times within your friend circle as well. So this book essentially gives you 19 short stories on the ways that people think about money, and some of these ways are quite strange. And because these are stories of other people, you're in a better position to figure out what's right and wrong and then apply these methodologies and the learnings to yourself and your daily life. I'm really quite excited about this one. The next book that I've got on my list is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This book, we all know, has been mentioned everywhere. I've read bits and pieces of it before, but I've never really had a deep dive and actually read the book properly, so I'm quite keen to see what it's all about. So essentially what the hype is around Rich Dad, Poor Dad is that Robert explains the two lives of dads, so one being a poor dad and one being a rich dad, and how their thoughts around money have actually allowed them to live different lifestyles. Essentially, this book explains that you don't need a high income to be rich in life. This book advocates the importance of financial literacy, being able to manage your money, your wealth, and invest it in the right assets like shares, investing in property, and investing within yourself as well, whether that be through running your own business and increasing your knowledge around personal finance. Now, the fourth book in my non-fiction personal finance list is I Will Teach You How to Be Rich by Rami Sethi. Essentially, this book says that it's a practical approach to money and how to manage money without it being non-judgmental. Essentially, this book talks about the 4 pillars: banking, saving, investing, and budgeting. There's also a 6-step formula within this book as well on explaining exactly how you can become rich. Again, looking at the reviews, this book just looks like it's a no fluff, no BS type of book, which is exactly what I'm after. The first book as part of my self-development list is The Almanack of Naval Ravikant. My partner's actually read this book and he has praised it immensely. He teaches people how to build wealth and how to achieve lifelong happiness. Just by working on a few key essential skills, you're able to make the biggest difference in your life. Naval Ravikant is a successful Indian entrepreneur. He was able to build his wealth through multiple streams of income, all by growing his spirituality to understand the true meaning of life as well. The next book on my list is Savage Wisdom by Adam Cam. Now, this is a book that I just finished reading as part of my fortnightly goal of reading a new book this year. I read the audiobook version because I wanted to get a true understanding of Adam Cam himself, and how he narrates this book is definitely an eye-opener. The thing with this book is that you definitely have to be open-minded. A lot of people who read this book may feel insulted or that they are being judged. If that's you, then don't read this book. Or if you can, read it with an open mind. What I loved about this book was the rawness, the ruthlessness, and the no BS mentality, and just getting straight to the point is something which I highly value in a book. I feel like there's many people out there that try to avoid the fluff and just really want to get to the nitty-gritty core meaning behind a book, and this book definitely gives you that. The next book on my self-development list is Sort Your Career Out and Make More Money. This is another book by Glenn James. This is his second installment to his Sorting His Money Out series. So this book essentially takes you through a guide on earning more money, moving up the corporate ladder, asking for that promotion, asking for that pay rise, and really getting paid for what you're worth. One thing I love about this book is that it contains case studies, which I think is so relevant and so helpful in understanding your situation because case studies just make it all the more relatable. The next book on my self-development list is 101 Essays That Will Make You Change the Way You Think. Now, this book had a few mixed reviews, so it's going to be interesting to see how I get along with this. If it's not up to my standard, then I'm definitely going to stop reading. But essentially, this book gives you 101 short stories or essays that talk about embracing yourself, embracing negativity, your daily routine, positive thinking, emotional help, and relationships. Essentially, it talks about the core way to becoming happy. The next book on my list is How to Own the Room. Now, this is a book which I feel is really close to my heart. I'm very excited to read this because it talks about how to become a leader, how to be good at public speaking, and how to come across confident with how you speak and how you articulate your responses. It talks about bringing out your own signature voice, connecting with your audience, and leaving a strong impact. Essentially, it will help people who have anxiety with public speaking like myself. So I'm very excited to see what this book is all about. And the next book is The 4-Hour Work Week. Now, this book talks about someone who's working a 9-to-5 job, but it talks about breaking free from that 9-to-5 routine and starting your own business, how to live like a millionaire without actually being a millionaire. Essentially, it's a guide to doing something else other than your 9-to-5 and building wealth for yourself outside of that corporate job. I mean, this book's not going to be for everyone, but it does provide a good insight into what the alternative could be if you're thinking about quitting your 9-to-5 and starting something different. Moving on to biographies. So there's 2 biographies that I'm really interested to read this year. The first one is A Woman Makes a Plan by May Musk. Now, May Musk is Elon Musk's mother. She shares her life experiences, her career, her upbringing, how she raised 3 children after being a single parent. She talks about the challenges of being a woman and how she rose to success, how she became a successful dietitian and an amazing entrepreneur and businesswoman. This is something I really resonate and look forward to in books. I love reading people's journeys and just seeing the challenges and how they've overcome it. I feel like it's something that we can all apply to our daily lives as well. The next book is How to Make It Happen by Maria. This book gives you guidance, tips, it shares celebrity stories as well, and sums up some business secrets with 3 golden rules. This book is for anyone that's looking to build their own business and to enable people to find their own make it happen mindset. This book talks about having success in all aspects of your career. Now let's move on to fiction books. Now, fiction books are something that I've only recently gotten into. I think it's a great way to escape from your daily life, your daily routine. It's just like watching a Netflix show or a movie. I think it's a great way to unwind after a busy day at work and looking at the screen. There are only 2 books on this list of mine because I do plan to have more self-development, more non-fiction books as part of my reading list this year. The first genre of fiction books is obviously around Colleen Hoover. She writes romance and young adult fiction books. The element of her book talks about some aspects of her real life as well around domestic violence, her abuse with her mum and her dad, and essentially gives a female point of view, which I think is quite relevant in many circumstances in our daily life as well. So I love reading books around that. I'm currently reading All Your Perfects and I'm getting along really well with that one. The next book on my fiction list is Silent Patient. It's a psychological thriller. These are books that I absolutely look forward to. So if you've got any more psychological thrillers you'd like to recommend, leave them down below in the comment section. This book essentially talks about a woman and how she murders her husband, and when it comes time to get psychological help, then she becomes a silent patient. And it's just a whole story surrounding that. So I'm quite intrigued to see what that's all about. Now, all these books that I've mentioned will be linked down below in case you want to get the link. I'd highly appreciate it if you give this video a like and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And I will catch you guys in my next video. Thanks, guys.